Hey everyone, it's me, Cindy, and I'm back and I'm ready to share story number 2 with you. Here we go. Alright guys, so I'm gonna start today's story off, and this story was around when I was about 3-4 years old. I think actually I was 4, almost turning 5, and me and my family had to move. And at the time, I don't think that my parents financially were able to move, and I don't really know the situation of why we had to move, but I'm guessing that we had to, considering where we had to move to. But anyways, so my parents didn't, I'm guessing, like I said, financially have the means to move, so we weren't able to, have a deposit for an apartment or house, or they definitely couldn't buy one. So my parents moved us into a motel, and this motel was in a pretty shady area of Houston, Texas. It was not the greatest, let's just say. It was really one of those super cheap motels, and crazy enough, this motel had like a basketball court outside, but I think somebody actually brought that in and added it to the motel area, because there was actually several families that were staying there as living, So at this motel, was not really the greatest experience ever. I do remember that pretty much every single channel that they had on the TV there had porn on it. So I knew what that was from a pretty early age, because literally every channel you flipped, it was somebody having sex. And it was terrifying. It was disgusting. As I said, I was 4 years old. So anyways, so you kind of get a general idea of what this motel felt like. And we spent a lot of time there. I think my parents were trying to work and raise the money for, us to be able to move out of there. But while we were living there, my mom took me to the gas station one day, and I was right in the front seat. My mom went into the grocery store, and she was in there for a little bit, and while she was in the store, a police officer came and pulled up behind my mom's car, and they came up to the window and they knocked on my door. So I rolled down the window because it's a police officer, and they asked me whose car I was in, and I said my mom. And right when I started talking to the police officer, I noticed that another police officer was escorting my mom from the convenience store. And when she was walking out, the police officer asked me, what is your mom's name? And I told him what my mom's name was, first and last, and he said, are you sure about that? And I said, yes, sir. That's my mom. Well, I didn't realize this, but by me telling him what my mom's name is, I actually was getting her arrested. How? Well, my mom decided that it would be a good idea that she used her sister's name instead of her actual name. And So she got in trouble for lying about her identity, and I'm guessing the car also had some like expired tags or something. There was some kind of an issue with the car, which is why they came over to begin with. And I'm guessing they ran the plates. But my mom went to jail because I turned her in basically. But I was a kid, I didn't know any better. I mean, it's stupid to lie about your name. If you ever get in trouble, you know, you should be honest and tell them who you are, because they're gonna figure it out, you know. My mom wasn't the brightest sometimes. But so she went to jail, and I remember while she was in jail, I had to stay with my dad, which was always horrible because he was like night and day for my mom, just because I was such a mama's girl. I loved being with my mom, and my dad weren't really the closest when I was little. So I remember going to my grandma's house, though. My dad took me over there, and I was really happy because that was one of my happiest places in the entire world to be, was with my grandma Edith. And she was a super sweet old lady that came from England, and when she'd get mad, she'd have this crazy accent. But anyways, totally off topic. She was an amazing woman. And I went over there and stayed for a couple of days. But my mom finally was getting out, and I brought her a apple pie that my grandma and me made together. I can remember helping her stir all the ingredients, and it was a lot of fun. And that's that love I was talking about. The few family members that showed me love. But I went to jail, and I remember surprising her with this pie, and we had to have this whole conversation about, you know, I apologized to her, and I remember crying because I was so upset because I put her in jail. And when I was younger, I really believed that it was my fault. I blamed myself, and I took on all that guilt of my mom going to jail. But it was a simple ticket probably, and she lied about her name, and that's the stupid stuff my parents would do, and they would get in trouble for. And so we go back to the motel, and because my mom had been in jail, I'm guessing they were only able to save up, you know, a little bit of money in the period of time that we stayed in the motel. And it was a few days before Christmas. And I had about 2 or 3 presents in our room. We had one of those really, you know, tiny Christmas trees. And I just remember waking up and a man yelling at us and telling us to get out, and was basically throwing our bags and clothes out the door and pushing us out. And I didn't even get a chance to grab my presents. And I know that sounds really stupid, but when you're a little kid, presents are exciting. And I wasn't a kid who got a lot of stuff. I didn't go to the store. My parents didn't buy me a toy every other day. I didn't have a lot of things. Obviously, we were living in a motel, so I didn't have like all this glamorous, wonderful stuff. So it was heartbreaking that, you know, a few days before Christmas, we were being kicked out, and not only that, but it took my Christmas away. And that was the life that I lived when I was 4. You know, like them just making bad choices over really simple things that happen to all kinds of people, you know, like hell, my expired tags are expired right now. I mean, granted, there's COVID, but I can honestly say that I'm super overdue and I need to go get that done. But it's a simple thing. But if I got pulled over for it, I wouldn't tell the police officer that I was somebody else. I would take responsibility for my own actions, and I don't think that my parents really knew how to do that. And I don't know, it's hard for me to wrap my head around why they did some of the things that they did in their life. And, you know, like, what was the reasoning for that? And I get it. Everyone has a hard time. Like, we've been through hard times several times, and I don't know, it's just the way they went about it. And I do know that during this period, they were definitely at least drinking alcohol. I don't know how heavy they were into drugs at this point. But I do know that we were pretty much poor because of it. And so we ended up finding an apartment complex, and we did move in. So even though it was bad, I guess it was good because we found an apartment to call home. But that's kind of the stuff that I went through that year. I don't really remember before we moved into the motel. Like I said, it's really spotty. And I was about 4 years old. So with all of that said, I have learned that no matter how hard life is and how poor I am, because there's been several times in my life that I had $2 in the bank account, sometimes even hundreds of dollars worth of negative, because life happens. But never in my life have I pushed it on to somebody else or made it somebody else's fault, other than probably my parents. Yeah. So that is my story of when I was 4, and the only thing I really can remember. I don't know. That's pretty much the end of the story, and I'm obviously not very good at ending my videos. So how about you guys tell me some of the craziest places you've had to live? I'd really like to hear it. I'd like to hear your experiences. I feel like people who have been through similar situations, that we can all kind of group together and be our own kind of people and help each other through the crazy and lift each other up and help each other realize that life sucks sometimes, but it is so worth getting back up and trying as hard as you can for yourself and the people involved in your life. So whatever you're going through, just remember to get back up and just keep trying, because that's all you really can do is try. But make sure when you're trying that you give it everything that you have, because you are worth it and you do deserve it, and everyone deserves happiness. So I hope that you guys enjoy this video, and I look forward to sharing more stories with you.